Go for it.
Friggin' what up, dude? Strider Wilson, I'm the host of this podcast that's mine. Going to be called History is Dank. History is Dank with Strider Wilson. Dankness from above. Friggin' what up, dude? Welcome back to another ep of History is Dank. I'm your host, Strider Wilson, dude. We got Aaron on the sticks, just being the beast that he is, dude. What's going on, Aaron, dude?
What up?
Dude, freaking chilling, bro. I'm just fired up, dude. And I'm truly chilling. It's freaking cold as hell here in LA right now. It's windy, dude.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like that, dude.
No.
So I'm not fired up on that, but I am just fired up on being an absolute beast, dude. Just power walking around, dude. I've had, a little spare time on my hands, dude. The day job things are a little quiet, dude. So what I do, I just power walk around malls, dude. Just go around, spread my arms all freaking super wide out, dude. Just cruise around, dude, in workout gear and shades. I'm turning heads, dude. Mainly securities. They're like, what's going on with this guy? But I like to go there and just say, advertising doesn't work on me, dude. It doesn't work. I'm not susceptible to it, dude. Go there and just buy nothing except for the parking, because then I don't get validated. So then I just pay about, it's LA, I pay about $95 to park for 30 minutes just to power walk around the Grove, dude.
Oh, you gotta get a Wetzel's pretzel or something.
I should. They've got a dank little stand there, dude. It feels nice. It does feel safe in that area of commerce, dude. Anyway, dude, that's what I've been doing, dude. Write in, dude. Let me know where you guys been power walking around, Danktorians. Questions, comments, suggestions, where you've power walked, shout outs. StriderWilsonTrip@gmail.com. Now today, we're going to be talking about an all-time legend, dude. An absolute beast, if you will. The greatest, quote, unquote. Muhammad Ali. Now, my introduction to Muhammad Ali, and Aaron, maybe yours is a little bit different. I first saw him, I was young, as a child, and it was the 96 Summer Olympic Games, and I heard the theme song that they used, which was that Enigma song, "Ay, ay, ay," where they sample Mr. Quo's, it's like I believe like a Korean drinking song or something like that. Also used in the Jonathan Taylor Thomas movie. Not enough Jonathan Taylor Thomas talk, in my opinion, going on ever. We got to be talking about JTT more frequently.
Seriously.
Okay?
There's a softball team in my league called JTT, and it's not about JTT. It's short for just the tip, which I fucking hate.
That's stupid, and that's a huge pun intended swing and a miss by those jackasses.
I hate bat as a dick puns and ball puns.
Yeah, none of this stuff. No dick or ball. What are these guys? They're all 35?
Yeah.
If you're going to talk about your dick, do it on a podcast, not on the diamond.
It's also co-ed, so show some respect.
Yeah, exactly. Show some respect for the ladies here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Aaron, I couldn't agree more. I would bean those guys, but beaning someone in softball it's not exactly effective.
No.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
Why'd you do that? Also, it's almost more of the batter's fault, being like, why didn't you move?
Yeah.
Anyway, dude, I was sitting there on my couch watching the opening ceremonies of the 96 Olympic Games, and then there's this guy walking up there, and he's got an incredible shakes because it's Parkinson's and everything. I go, who is that? Who is this? Like, what is, because they pass off the torch. The Olympic torch is cruising around. If you don't know that, the world, at all times, the Olympic flame is always burning. And when the games come about, they light up the fucking cauldron, dude. And it's a huge honor to light that cauldron. And the honor was bestowed in 96 to Muhammad Ali. And he goes up there and he's shaking and walking. This dude fucking sprints in the stadium, hands it to this guy who's like shaking and walking. And then my dad was like, dude, that's Muhammad Ali. He's an absolute legend. I go, why does he shake? He goes, well, he was a boxer and he has like, a pugilist. And I think it's even a syndrome called like pugilism or pugilistalgia, or I don't know what it is, but name where
it's pugilistic something syndrome.
Basically what it means is you got hit in the head a fucking ton.
Yeah.
And if and we'll get into a little bit of his boxing style, but Muhammad Ali's greatness, what he did outside the ring, we're going to talk about that. But inside the ring, he was very nimble, but he could also take a fucking punch. I mean, he would go, we'll get into some of his fights, the amount of rounds that he would go. I mean, dude, insanity, bro. I mean, dude, Conor McGregor's like fought 14 fights in his career. Muhammad Ali's fought, I mean, just as an amateur, he went 105, okay?
Wow.
As an amateur, before he was a pro.
Yeah.
So this he's taken some fights and taken some shots and delivered some too. So that was my intro. What was your introduction to Muhammad Ali? Do you remember, Aaron, or no?
I'd probably seen him. I'd probably seen him in sports documentaries or sports television.
There is some great documentaries about him.
Yeah.
HBO did one. It's a two-parter. I remember watching that a while back, being so stoked on it. He's amazing, dude. So we're going to be talking about Muhammad Ali today. So get fired up, dude. Step into the ring of dankness as we talk about the greatest there ever was. But before we do that, I got to give a big thanks and a huge shout out to our sponsor, Dadgrass, dude. Dadgrass is reviving the pleasure of the casual toke so you can chill out without the stress. I got to agree, dude. Look, nothing worse than being too high. I'm in my own dome. I'm asking my friends that we're all hanging out with, just trying to watch The Matrix together, going, do you guys like me, dude? I mean, is it cool? Do I need to go home? Like, what's going on? No. You can relax. You can have it on the G course, dude, the golf course with your boys. Or like I like to do on the balcony and just enjoy, dude, the little pre-rolls. But I'm fired up on them, dude, because you know what? It's just chill. And right now, Dadgrass is offering our listeners 20% off your first order when you go to dadgrass.com/dank. Go to dadgrass.com/dank for 20% off your first order. That's dadgrass.com/dank. All right, dude. Before we dive into the biography of Muhammad Ali, one of the things he was best known for was his verbal skills. His poetry, these things. He would pre-write these things. Sometimes they'd come off the top of his head, but he had a lot of great quotes, amazing at trash talk. So right now, before I talk about the man, let's hear what the man had to say about himself and life. So this is from a little ESPN article, and also I always list my sources in the episode description. So he's got some dank-ass quotes here right now. I don't count the sit-ups. I only start counting when it starts hurting because they're the only ones that count. That's what makes you a champion. I like that, dude. Been working out a lot, dude. Mentioned on the Going Deep pod that I'm freaking doing creatine right now. I don't know. Maybe it's got negative effects. If you put a supplement in your body, do your research first. The only research I did is my buddy Ferrara, who's completely jacked, goes, I take this shit, and I go, all right, dude, send me what you take. So that's not exactly smart. I wouldn't exactly go and do that. But here's the thing. He is exactly fucking the body type that's legit. So, and he's a freaking chill ass dude. So, that's why I did it. So be careful of that. But I'll tell you right now, I'm really, really empathizing with that quote from Muhammad Ali there. But because, you get to those reps that start to hurt, that's where you build the muscle, baby. That's where it happens. That's where change happens, in the uncomfortability. Another great quote is, silence is golden when you can't think of a good answer. This is kind of a great quote because from a man who was so verbally gifted. I mean, people say he invented rap. This is what I read in a documentary, an early, because he would have a rhythm in it. In the cadence of his speech, he was from Kentucky, so his accent, it was very, in his speech pattern, just naturally had this rhythm and this musicality to it. So, that's something you can't teach. I wish people would love everybody else the way they love me. It would be a better world. I like that.
Well, that's assuming people love you.
That is true. I mean, there was a lot of people who didn't like him, but there was a lot of people who did. I mean, maybe like later on once he retired, but he did have a lot of fans.
Of course, yeah. I'm just saying that quote doesn't necessarily apply to everyone.
It is true.
If everyone said that, they'd be like, "Well, nobody likes you, Bruce, or whatever."
That is true. And like, that is part of like, I mean, as much as we love Muhammad Ali, there's no question he had an ego.
Yeah.
And he literally would call himself the greatest, but he was like the first one to do it. Like athletes before him, or maybe there was, but just not as well documented. Like he was not humble. Let's just put it that way, dude. But you know, he'd back it up, right? He didn't just walk the walk. He didn't just talk the talk. He literally walked the walk. So yeah, there was no question he had people who hated him, but he had many who loved him. But yeah, it is definitely within his character to assume everyone liked him. He goes, why don't you like me? Of course you like me. I'm the champ. It isn't the mountains ahead that wear you down. It's the pebble in your shoe. The pedestrian always kills you. You know what I mean? It's like, take care of the small things first, you know? Don't just keep looking down the road, you know? But handle what you got to handle right now. The will must be stronger than the skill. I agree with that. Doing comedy, I mean, look, there's a million funny people. Anybody can be hilarious. But you got the work ethic plus that, I mean, then you're unstoppable. Don't count the days, make the days count. Boom, there you go, baby. The fight is won or lost far away from the witnesses, behind the lines, in the gym, and out there on the road, long before I dance under those lights. I mean, that is true about boxing, too. I mean, the fucking training regimen, dude. Dude, here's what I'm most impressed about boxing. The jump roping, bro. Mm-hmm. I mean, you ever tried jump roping? To all the adults listening, get yourself a jump rope. See how that goes. It's one of the hardest things in the world.
Yeah.
Of course, one of the all-time most famous, float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. You can't hit what your eyes don't see. And he's talking about himself, saying he's nimble, and that's true. It does capture his fighting style. He was nimble. He moved around. He would do that little shimmy, you know, in the ring, move his feet back and forth. That looked fucking so cool. And then he could pack a punch, baby. He had the power. He was a heavyweight. And then here's a famous quote that usually gets pared down to the end of it, but this is the entire quote is, impossible just a word thrown around by small men who find it easier to live in the world they've been given than to explore the power they have to change it. Impossible is not a fact. It's an opinion. Impossible is potential. Impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing.
That's good stuff.
That's great. And, you know, Muhammad Ali was not a little man. He was a big man. And if you want to say anything, love him or hate him, I love the guy. He was a man of his word. If he, almost moreover than if he said he was going to do something, he went and did it. But at the same time, if he was like, fuck that, I ain't going to do something, he also didn't do it. And this comes back to bite him, if you don't know his story, and we'll get into that. So that's what Muhammad Ali had to say about the world. I mean, I think it's very important to, you know, a man who was so verbally gifted. Let's get it right from the horse's mouth, as they say. That's a little bit of his POV right there. He also called himself beautiful and pretty, which is hilarious. He's like, I'm beautiful, I'm pretty, I'm gorgeous. And it's hilarious that, like, you know, this is in the 60s when he's rising up. And, you know, men back then, you know, they subscribed to this masculine ideal of men are handsome and women are beautiful and pretty. But he was like, no, I'm pretty, I'm gorgeous. And if you want to say anything about it, step into the ring, baby. So he was tongue-in-cheek. He had a grand sense of self-awareness, which was great. Let's see. His resume. Let's get into a little bit of his resume here before we dive into the beginning and get a little biographical. Victories. Includes victories over George Foreman. Maybe you heard of the Grill. Joe Frazier, Sonny Liston. 3 fighters who are in a historical top 10 list, they would say. I mean, would you agree with that, Aaron? I mean, I'm not a boxing specialist, but these are all beasts.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all-time heavyweights. He's beat all of them. Now, he did lose to some of them, but he also beat all of them. Beat Ken Norton, Floyd Patterson, guys who rank in the top 20, 25 of all time. Top 50 heavyweights, such as Jerry Quarry, Ernie Terrell, Zora Fawley, Ron Lyle, Jimmy Ellis. None of these guys could contend with Ali. So if you want to say, I mean, they say Muhammad Ali just as a fighter, if you're talking about him as a fighter, is probably not like the best straightforward fighter, but he's arguably up there, and, you know, what he did outside the ring and inside the ring, you know, makes him, quote, and I say, the greatest, because it goes far beyond boxing. But he does have a fucking impressive list of people that he fought and beat, and he took all these fights, and he kept fighting, probably too long.
Yeah.
You know, too long. But something to be said for that, stepping in the ring. Born January 27th, 1942 in Louisville, Kentucky. His name at birth, in case those of you who don't know, Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr. Father was a sign painter, mother a maid. He grew up in the segregated society. This played into, you know, his choices later in life. I mean, how could it not? We're all informed by our youth, are we not? In 1954, famously a thief jacks his bike, which is just so wild. I mean, when you're a kid, dude, if you have a bike, that's your freedom, dude. You're cruising around your bike, dude. I mean, you know, my dad's being a schmoll. I'm like, whatever, bitch, I'm going to go for a bike ride. You know how much I love just going for a bike ride? Just being in 5th grade, just watching the freeway, trying to feel like I'm part of something on an overpass. And people be like, hey, kid, you all right? I'm like, well, look, dude, I got thoughts going on in here, dude. You know what I mean? Freaking, I had to pull a card today in class for talking too much, dude. That didn't go nice. Hey, kid, it's going to be okay. Well, Muhammad Ali, dude, he was cruising around on his bike. It gets jacked. Cop rolls up. He goes up to a cop and he says, hey, if you see someone riding around on my bike, let them know I'm going to beat them up. And this cop's famously, his name is Joe Martin, and he famously was coached at a boxing gym. And he goes, well, if you're going to beat someone up, you better learn how to. Better come to the boxing gym. Joe Martin starts teaching him up immediately. He knows this kid has the skills. He goes on to an amateur record. Muhammad Ali goes on to an amateur record of 100 wins to 5 losses. He wins gold medal in the 1960 Olympics at 175-pound division in Rome. That's where those Olympics games took place. After that, he gets a sponsorship from a group of like 11 wealthy dudes, white dudes. And they're like, this kid, we got to invest in Muhammad Ali so he can become a professional. And he starts to train professionally, building up his resume, taking, you know, fights. And finally in 1964, he challenges for the heavyweight belt against Sonny Liston. And Sonny Liston's the heavyweight champion of the world. Huge, stunning upset. Liston retires to his corner after 6 rounds. And at this stage in his life, he's fighting as Cassius Clay. 2 days later, he accepts, after he becomes heavyweight champion of the world, he lets the world know he accepted the teachings of Islam. And on March 6, 1964, he took the name Muhammad Ali. I think he went by Muhammad X prior to that. His teacher was Elijah Muhammad. And, you know, people are kind of, like that. I mean, look, the United States, we're a Christian nation. We're afraid of things we don't know. Ooh. And, you know, this is obviously pre 9/11 and all that. But at this time, you know, you had the civil rights movement going on. You had Martin Luther King. And you know, if you're going to take just a broad stroke, you had like the sort of the peaceful, nonviolent approach of Martin Luther King. But then you had Malcolm X, who was a little bit more, you know, I guess you could say militant in his approach and fight for equality. And so Muhammad Ali sort of went that route. People didn't like that. And then on top of that, he on May 25th, 1965, he takes a rematch against Liston. He emerges with a first-round knockout victory. I mean, baby, you put someone out in the first round, you are the greatest. I mean, Muhammad Ali is entering his prime. You know, he triumphs over, and I mentioned these guys, Floyd Patterson, top 25, George Chuvalo, Henry Cooper, Brian London, Carl Mildenberg. And on November 14th, 1966, Ali fought this guy, Cleveland William. Over the course of 3 rounds, Ali landed more than 100 punches in 3 rounds. Bro, just stand still. If you're listening to this in your office or in the subway, make sure you got space, or if you're in your car, just try throwing 100 punches. You're going to tire the fuck out. Okay? Just standing there doing that. Scored 4 knockdowns, was hit a total of 3 times. Domination. Domination is what's going on. Then Muhammad Ali gets drafted to Vietnam. He doesn't want to go because it's against his religion. Ali was not eligible for such exemption because, this is deemed by the government, because he did acknowledge that he would participate in an Islamic holy war known as a jihad. It's part of, if you accept Islam, you accept jihad. And so because of that, they're going, well, you can't, but, that's a holy war. There is a distinction there, Vietnam is definitely not a holy war. So what happens? April 18th, 1967, Muhammad Ali's boxing license is revoked in response to not wanting to go to Vietnam. And this is his prime. He loses 3 years of his prime. I mean, he basically would have just been laying beatdowns on dudes. Because, I think it took time for guys to rise up. People say, but, who knows what we would have seen. We probably would have seen him land hundreds of punches, barely take any, and just fucking, domination going down. So we lost a lot of that. But here's the thing, dude. I don't want to go to the Vietnam War. That'd suck, bro. That would suck, dude. That'd be a bust, bro. Aaron, do you want to go to that, dude?
No, it was an entirely unjust war. Unnecessary.
Yeah, and timing is sort of everything here, because when this was earlier on, like I mentioned, 1967, his boxing license is revoked. This is still at a time when the country isn't totally against the Vietnam War. Like later, everyone's like, "Get us the fuck! What are we doing? Let's go!" Like you got the Democratic National Convention in Chicago. You got all this stuff going on where like there's heavy protests against the war. And there's still some of it at this time, but it hasn't been like completely nationally recognized. So people are not liking that he doesn't want to go. They're like, you need to go fight. And he's like, I do want to fight in the ring, bro. Not in Vietnam. In any case, there ends up being like Muhammad Ali gets off like later on a procedural technicality, like they go through it, and he's like, okay, so he can come back to fighting in 1970, whatever the powers that be that enable these things to happen. 1970, fight of the century against Joe Frazier. Muhammad Ali loses this fight. His skills are a little eroded here. The legs that had allowed him to dance, quote, dance, to go the 15 rounds that they would go back then. I think it's only 12 rounds nowadays. They weren't quite what they were. Father Time always wins. But he was still a fucking beast. Don't get me wrong, he's still a fucking beast, and he's still going to go on to do great things. He did win 2 fights leading up to that against Jerry Quarry, Oscar Bonavena. When he challenges Joe Frazier, the fight of the century, Frazier wins. It goes 15 rounds. They go the distance. They do the dance, baby, which, that's unbelievable, but it's a unanimous decision. Frazier wins by unanimous decision. And then after this, he's like, all right, well, you know what? The will has to be better than the skill. As Muhammad Ali says, he goes back, hits his training center, which is hilarious. He hadn't done this at this point, but where he would train leading up to his facility, he'd have like a bunch of young and upcoming boxers, a big gym, a good training culture there. And he would put the names like on the rocks of people that he would beat. So like when he would go on his runs, it would remind him like, you beat that guy, or guys that he'd be fighting next. Like, that's how I'm training to fight. And they have this in the documentary. It's gold. It's gold. It's amazing. But baby, you got to do what it takes to beat some ass. Ali goes on a tear, 10 fights in a row, 8 of them against world-class opponents, wins. Then, March 31st, 1973, this dude that Ali's considering a schmoll, talking smack, talking so much good trash. He's amazing at it. I'm not sure, maybe he was amazing at it, but also like sometimes he would just go for the low-hanging fruit and be like, you're ugly. He would just say that to guys. And, which isn't nice. Then Ken Norton goes, you know what? Fuck this guy, dude. Boom, breaks Ali's jaw, which is very poetic. You know, he kind of goes on late night TV. He's going on late night TV, doing the rounds, right? Talking, busting out rhymes and poems on there, talking smack before his fights. Breaks Ali's jaw, and he still continues to fight with a broken jaw. Goes 12 rounds. And then he loses. Ali does beat him in a rematch later. So, he fucking takes his lickings as he's building up for a fight. I should note that he does come back and beat Joe Frazier in a rematch. Unanimous 12-round decision later. And they say it was probably his best technical performance in the boxing ring post his exile from boxing, for not wanting to go to the Vietnam War. Which, yeah, screw that, dude. I mean, got to pull out all the stops to try to avoid that if you can. You know what I'm saying? And tragic for the guys that did have to go and get drafted to that. I mean, that's rough. I remember my dad talking about that, or I guess because he was in medical school in college, so he had an exempt. But my dank fiance's dad was like, man, on those, they would call your number. He's like, him and his buddies would just be just hanging out, having a beer, being like, oh, just holding their finger, like a reverse lottery, be like, please don't, because it went by birth date and year. What a bust, dude. So gnarly. So now,
yeah, my uncle enlisted in the Navy just so he could pick where he was going to go.
Yeah, I mean, that's a strategy too, control your fates. If it's me and I'm feeling unlucky, I'd be like, dude, I'm going to enlist in the Coast Guard and just be a boat valet or something like that, dude. Can I just do that, please?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way to do it, dude. Learn whatever code or something. Or you know what? Maybe step in the boxing ring and be like, dude, I'm going to be the champ. I want to go. I'd get my ass beat, dude. I'd set records for getting knocked out the quickest. So now we're coming up to a fight that we've all heard of, famously dubbed Rumble in the Jungle against George Foreman. October 30th, 1974. The Rumble in the Jungle. But before we get into that, baby, let me remind you about our sponsor, Dadgrass. Dude, give a big time shout out to Dadgrass. I mean, have you ever just been too damn high? We've all been there. I've been there. I watched Into the Blue with Paul Walker multiple times. Couldn't find my footing. Terrible. I mean, the movie was dank. It's a great movie to watch, but I was not in the right state of mind. I couldn't enjoy it, to be honest. And if you're not going to enjoy that movie, you know something's wrong. Because today's weed, it's just tough, man. It's potent. And finding your perfect dose can be a dangerous game. Well, Dadgrass is reviving the pleasure of the casual toke so you can chill out without the stress. That's what I tell my bros, dude. I'm like, look, dude, don't worry. This Dadgrass, you're going to be feeling nice, dude. You're not going to be in a state of mind that's going to be unchill. You're not going to be all worried after you have this. What I tell them, I'm like, dude, you're just going to be able to light this up and have a nice old time, dude. That's exactly what I tell them. The pre-rolls, dude. I mean, they got the tinctures, they got the gummies. You go on their website, they got other stuff, but I'm all about those pre-rolls, dude, because it's nice. I still like that vibe, dude. You can just be hanging out there on the golf course, chilling, dude. Maybe taking Sonny for a walk, just totally zenned out, dude, relaxing in a mellow mood, mellow mind. I mean, I just love it. Put on some good tunes, my headphones while I'm just cruising, dude, with the pup. It's just legit, dude. I mean, they got 100% organic pre-rolled joints, very low in THC, which I like, and high in CBD, which I enjoy. So you can enjoy the effects of cannabis while keeping a clear dome. That's what I'm all about, dude. Also, dude, all Dadgrass products are federally legal for ages 18 and over, and it ships right to your door anywhere in the U.S., so it comes to you, dude. Let that nice new buzz or a chill old favorite cruise to your doorstep with Dadgrass, dude, because it's going to leave you in a nice, euphoric mood, bro. That's what I'm talking about. And right now, Dadgrass is offering our listeners 20% off your first order when you go to dadgrass.com/dank. Go to dadgrass.com/dank for 20% off your first order. That's dadgrass.com/dank. All right, dude. We're talking the Rumble in the Jungle. fucking Ali, dude. Fucking Foreman, dude.
Zaire.
In Zaire, yep. 1970, on October 30th, 1974, Ali challenges Foreman, who had dethroned Frazier in 73, to become heavyweight champion of the world. Ali refers to this as the Rumble in the Jungle. Zaire, exactly. Now the Democratic Republic of Congo. Ali received by the people of Zaire as a conquering hero. And he does his part. Knocked out Foreman in the 8th round to regain the heavyweight title. I mean, huge. And this, talking a little bit about his boxing strategy, you've probably heard of something called a, quote, rope-a-dope. Now, there's a former boxing great called Archie Moore. He called the maneuver the turtle. Ali calls this the rope-a-dope. The strategy is that instead of moving around the ring, which you'd see, try to flank your opponent and stuff, Ali chose to fight for extended periods of time, leaning back into the ropes because he was so fucking quick. He could avoid many of Foreman's heaviest blows, and Foreman he packed a punch.
Yeah.
So, very risky strategy. But like I said, throw 100 punches. You're going to tire out from throwing those big old punches. Also, you're thinking you're winning, and it's a mind fuck because you're like, I got the guy in the ropes. That's what I mean. Like, there's literally a phrase, you got him against the ropes. Boom, 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 go to work. Body shots, deliver, uppercut, boom. But Ali's sitting there in that tight space, and it's kind of a little bit what like Mayweather does. He doesn't necessarily do it against the ropes, but, and he would dance out. He wouldn't just sit there the whole time.
Mayweather's fighting much smaller men than Foreman.
Oh, exactly. I mean, these are heavyweights. Literally, you have to realize that, like, as great of a fighter as Mayweather is, if he goes against Foreman or an Ali, his neck, I mean, their necks are strong, they're boxers, but like one punch from a heavyweight, like, it will fucking knock you out. I mean, a normal human getting punched from George Foreman or Ali, you could die. They would kill you. Probably break your neck. Like an uppercut, are you kidding me? Would rearrange your face.
Yeah.
That's what you need to realize. And the fact that Ali would get in there and take those shots, take those punches, roll with them. I mean, rope-a-dope. Insanity, bro. So gnarly. And then Ali, what's amazing about it, he's employing this method of just dodging and finesse, but then the power to come back and just knock out Foreman. And I mean, dude, it's gnarly. Just you watch him drop, and then that's when he famously puts his hands up on the corner. I mean, dude, iconic, dude. Iconic shit. Speaking of iconic, his next fight, he just took out Foreman, but guess what? Foreman took out Frazier, and now he's like, look, well, I still got to prove myself against Frazier. Now, spoiler alert, I already told you, but you got another fight here, dubbed the Thrilla in Manila. The Thrilla in Manila.
Philippines.
Exactly. Now, Ali's taken fights. He's you could say at the peak of his popularity, he's the heavyweight champ. I think he takes 30 fights, which is like insane. I mean, nowadays you just have guys who are like, I'm the champ, I'm going to sit back, chill, train.
Yeah, they fight once a year, maybe.
Exactly. Maybe once a year. The amount of fights he's taken is just, it's not advisable. You know what I mean? It is not advisable for your health. But he's going out there.
He takes as many fights as De Niro was doing movies.
Yeah, exactly. Cage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like he's taking as many fights as potato chips I'm having. It's insanity, bro. Maybe courage. But you know what? Like I said, he just doesn't talk the talk. He walks the freaking walk. He dances the dance, baby. So he's a courageous fighter. There's no question about that. But he's on his decline. He's older now. He's past his prime. His prime we probably never got to see. So October 1st, 1975, Ali and Joe Frazier, Joe Frazier meet in the Philippines, 6 miles outside Manila, to do a battle for the third time. It's regarded by many as the greatest prize fight of all time. The Thrilla of Manila. Ali declared victor when Frazier's corner calls a halt to the fight. They throw in the towel after 14 punishing rounds.
14 rounds. Jesus.
I mean, 3-minute rounds.
You box for a minute, you're exhausted.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so unbelievable. It's just so 14 rounds of just hitting each other, dude.
It's nuts.
You got savages watching. You know how they like wrap each other up for just rest? And the heavyweights, the lighter guys, you know, they don't have all that mass to carry around. The fact that he's doing this with all that mass is just insane. It's insane. Insane. This is a great quote, but this was from the 75 fight, not the rubber match this is from the 71 fight, not the rubber match in 75. No, it was a Thrilla in Manila. This is after the Joe Frazier fight, the fight of the century. I represent the truth. The world is full of oppressed people, poverty. They for me, they not for the system. All your black militants, all your hippies, all your draft resistors, they want me to be the victor. And he calls himself, he goes, I'm American. In today's America, it's impossible to imagine a sporting event. No, I mean, this is just from an author. I'm not going to keep quoting that author, but that's all these quote. I mean, that's what he was fighting with. And maybe, you know, and I think there is truth to that. You know, he's punching back at the system that tried to oppress him when he didn't want to go to the draft. You know, a system of segregation that he grew up in, a system that was telling him, hey, you got to do what we say. He goes, no, I got my own things to say, and I'm going to fucking go out there and do what I want to do. And you got to like that. You know what I'm saying? That is American. You know, I mean, look, there are rules, you know, we can't have too much fear. It's not like he's like, hey, if I want to go out and friggin' murder someone, I'm going to. No, he's not saying that. He's saying, look, I'm going to accept the rules, but these rules of oppression, I ain't going to accept those. Yeah. You can take those and jam them up your ass. And if you need help doing it, I can. So it's fucking badass, bro. He rose to the top, was exiled, got beat down, came back again. I mean, that's what we love. Don't we love that arc in America? We love that. We love a pull yourself up by the bootstrap story. And we also sickly love the downfall. All right, well, you did it. Yeah. But then we also need them to come back again. It's like insanity. But he did it because he knows impossible is nothing. You know, towards the end of his career, you know, you never like to see the twilight of a career, especially with a boxer. You know, he loses his title to Leon Spinks, a novice gold medal boxer, but it's a guy that, you know, he should beat. Ali rechallenges him, goes 15 rounds, defeats Spinks in a decision, you know. Then he retires from boxing, but 2 years later, he makes an ill-advised comeback, suffers a horrible beating at the hands of this guy, Larry Holmes. The fight stopped after 11 rounds. His final fight loses by decision to Trevor Berbick, 1981. His final record, professional record, 56 wins, 5 losses, 37 knockouts. I mean, it's nuts. You look at like pros now, like 56 fights. No, 61 fights in total because he has the 5 losses. As a pro, remember I mentioned 100 fights to 5 as an amateur. Dude, so many fights.
Yeah. 160 something?
Crazy, dude.
Bananas.
It's just all time. You know what I mean? And you got to give it up for the guy. You know, later in his life, he does go to more peaceful. He's always was following the teachings of Islam, but he later, you know, in his book, he shifts to a more peaceful approach and becomes about, you know, all love, which is nice. But, you know, I mean, look, grew up in a society. I mean, it's going to be anger. Who wouldn't be angry, you know, growing up in the 60s as an African American? I mean, come on. This fucking system was stacked against you, dude. Provenly so. So, I mean, he's just a legend, bro. A good fighter, I mean, who do they say is the greatest fighter of all time?
I feel like it's him.
I think it might be. Maybe, I mean, there might be a few boxing dudes who are like, you know, as a heavyweight, the greatest heavyweight, which is the best, but maybe Sugar Ray Robertson is like the best fighter, but he wasn't a heavyweight. So, you know, it's all about the heavyweights, bro.
Yeah.
Let's end with some of his, you know, let's do a little bookending here. We started out with things that Muhammad Ali had to say, some of his greatest quotes. Let's finish out with some of his greatest trash talking of all time. It's just so much fun. So, in advance of his 1965 defense against former champion Floyd Patterson, Ali says, "I'll beat him so bad, he'll need a shoehorn to put a hat on." I love it, dude. Great imagery. Just saying, look, he's got a big head, okay? He's going to need a shoehorn to put his hat on that big old head of his, okay? Also, it should be noted that Patterson was a great man, dedicated his life to working with youth, and was very involved in the civil rights movement. A good dude. So like, but also like seemed like a foil. Like he was all about the peaceful stuff. Like I mentioned this earlier. Ali embraced more the rhetoric of Malcolm X. Patterson could be, you know, a sort of part of the generation of like a Joe Louis, Jackie Robinson. Great guy. Here's one. If you ever dream about beating me, you better wake up and apologize. Hilarious. I'm so mean, I make medicine sick. I love it. Creative, dude.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. He's a star, dude. I remember talking to at my day job. You know, everyone comes to the hotel that I work at, very nice hotel in Beverly Hills, and people always come in, "Hey, have you seen this person, that person?" And I go, "Well, who do you like?" Odds are, I mean, they've been here. And I don't know what there is. There's something about the water, you know? And talking to like one of the doormen who worked there for 35 years, I was like, all right, well, you know, everyone asks you this, but who's the, you know, most interesting or coolest or, you know, special person you've seen come up here? And without skipping a beat, he says, Muhammad Ali. He goes, that guy, he came in, first of all, he's jacked, and he's like, no one would turn heads, no one would have an aura about them like Muhammad Ali would. He's like, it didn't matter, you know, you could have the coolest musician at the time, the freaking president, whoever it was, like if Muhammad Ali came in, they wanted to see that guy. Everyone wanted a piece of the champ, you know, not to fight, but just an interaction, a handshake, whatever it was, a diss. People would want to like have trash talked to him and stuff like that. Just, Muhammad, can you insult me, please? Like it was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Probably his best fight, and I kind of, or a quote, and I mentioned this earlier, he says, "I'm America." You know, and he's just, and what he means by that is what he represents, his struggle, his go-getter mentality, and, you know, it's amazing, dude. It's amazing. He and I remember watching this in the doc, he did watch wrestling. He was a fan of like wrestling, and he loved these personalities. So like, he was aware that he's developing a persona and like marketing, like he's a fucking super smart dude. Like he knows what he's doing, and the fact that he's doing it like on a societal level, just kind of leaning into this character who's larger than life, but also he is, you know, I bet you it's just a little bit cranked up from the man that he actually was, right?
Yeah.
He says, "Get used to me. Black, confident, cocky. My name, not yours. My religion, not yours. My goals, my own. Get used to me. I am America." And so, you know, there's no doubt we still have progress to be made with our race relations and everything. But Muhammad Ali is definitely an important figure in steps towards that progress and accessibility and getting to know your neighbor a little bit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's important for empathy. his confrontational words, outside of sports that make people uncomfortable. Guess what? You know what's uncomfortable? Change, bro.
Yeah.
And badass, dude. It's just nothing better than just being a badass, bro. I mean, I would always say this, like, playing Would You Rathers with the boys, on boys trips, having a few freaking Colorado Kool-Aids, posting up in the koozie, dude. Be like, bro, would you rather be a pro quarterback, or would you rather be like, the best point guard in the NBA? If you could have a dream, freaking could rub a lamp and make a wish come true. I think I would always say basketball. I just think it's awesome. I like playing it more. Also, I think about the injuries in football.
Yeah, it's lower impact. You get paid way more.
Yeah, you get paid way more. Exactly. But then I think, wouldn't it just be badass to be a boxer? The lifestyle's tough. You got to train, so much training. Just like Ali said, the sport is really, it happens way outside of the lights, way outside of the rings. Happens in that training facility that he had where he had all his opponents' names written on the stones for motivation.
It's really an endurance sport.
Yeah, it is.
More than it is fighting.
Totally. And then, then you get hit in the face and nothing throws a plan out the window. You're like getting socked right in the mouth.
Yeah. I think that's a Mike Tyson quote.
So him being able to stick to that plan, set guys up, all while getting hit tons of times and going the distance. The dude went the distance.
Yeah.
Hundreds of times, literally. So
I saw a thing that said he estimated he was punched in the head 29,000 times.
Yeah, bro. Like, I 1,000,000,000% believe that. Think about all the training, the sparring sessions, even if it's a light little thing and you've got headgear on. Yeah. All of his amateur fights.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. In from heavyweights, bro.
Yeah.
I don't care how buff your neck is or anything like that. A head's a head. A skull's a skull. Yeah. I mean, they do say guys can have like stronger jaws than other guys. Like they can roll with it a little bit. I think there is a little bit of, I don't know, skill, but building up and strength in that. But like, if you get hit in the head, you get hit in the head. I don't care who you are.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna fucking take its toll, dude. So gnarly, bro. But what a legend, dude. The champ had to, these are one of those episodes you just get stoked about. I just got stoked. I started watching the documentary, revisiting it. There's a two-parter on HBO that I really, really liked. I would say watch that. But I think there's a famous documentary. I forget the name of it. But
When We Were Kings.
Yes, that's it. When We Were Kings. Aaron, that's why you're a fucking beast. Thank you. So, Muhammad Ali, dude, beast, bro. And no one's perfect, like we said. Did he like himself too much? Yeah. But I like him a lot too. Did everyone like him? Definitely not. Did he probably believe that everyone did? Probably.
He had 3 ex-wives who might contend.
Yeah, 3 exactly, bro. He did have a 4th wife. Yeah. His 3 ex-wives might be like, well, there's something about this guy. His safe word while boning was just, I'm the greatest. His sex move was the turtle, dude. That's hilarious, dude. So, fired up on this episode, dude. Let's see if I got any questions in the inbox before we bone out of here, dude.
I actually have another show if we could.
Oh, yeah. All right, we're cruising. Yeah, so, check out the Patreon. Questions, comments, suggestions, StriderWilsonTrez@gmail.com. Aaron, you're a beast. Thank you so much. Stay stoked. Late.